Hey, welcome to another episode of Cutting Through the Noise. This is Sean. I'm here with Kyle, and today we are talking about the traction channel sales.
Sales, Sean. Lots of people talking about sales.
Well, it is a key component to having a successful business.
Yeah, I was thinking before we started recording, can you think of a business that doesn't require some form of sales? Or I was even thinking about teaching, that when you're a teacher, you really have to sell long division. You're teaching second grade, or when do they start learning long division? That sounds early.
Probably a little after second
Maybe
grade.
a little later.
Maybe sophomore year in college.
Maybe sophomore year in college. You're pitching long division, and you've really got to sell this. You're pitching Shakespeare to, bleary-eyed freshmen. You got to get them excited about that.
Yeah, just a little. I think, that's a good point, too, because when you come to think about sales, first thing people come to mind is just consumer products. So, we talk a lot about our e-commerce clients here on this podcast, and, because it's something we really tackle well. But it's not just selling widgets.
Right.
There's B2B sales. There's selling ideas. There's selling things on people, convincing people. So it's important to realize that sales is not just door-to-door salesmen selling encyclopedias.
Right. It seemed like the traction channel, specifically in the book traction, talks a lot about when they need like a personal touch, when they need some hand-holding to get across the finish line, different than, like you mentioned, purchasing a sweatshirt or a widget online, which I think is something we come across a lot when we're dealing with businesses that do work on a sales funnel. They need more top of funnel leads. So maybe we can use a bank as an example. We've used this before. We always seem to talk finance. A bank and a lot of the traction channels we've already talked about, paid search, paid social, content, targeting blogs. Like the goal of those for a lot of businesses is to drive them to a site and then take like step one, not convert for a purchase, but inquire, call, visit campus if you're a college, or maybe just walk into the bank if you're a bank. And so I don't know if you have any insight or thoughts on, a lot of times we ask folks, well, what happens once this lead comes in? So this lead form gets submitted, it lands in your inbox or it lands on your desk, then what? And a lot of time we get kind of blank stares back. And that's where we can help. Okay, we're going to set up automated emails, but do you have any thoughts on maybe from a bank standpoint? And let's say the goal is home loans. So step one, they want to drive people to their site, so other traction channels cover that. But sales specifically covers like the processes taking someone from that first step to, okay, you're lending with us.
Yeah, think about First Security Bank here in Missoula, and they spend a lot of money on advertising. You see sort of these display ads they have, on the Missoula Current, other news websites. And the thing I like about them is they're very personal. They actually have pictures of the loan officers in the ad, and it's saying, hey, reach out to Corey. I want to talk to you about your home loan. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's their way of getting people to the website.
Right.
I think, in the case of somebody submitting a form asking for more information, the next step is, let's call him Corey, sort of needing to reach out and just sort of a personal introduce himself. How can I help you? I think when you think about lead generation in other businesses, it could be just an automated email chain because it does have to be scalable. Mm-hmm. But when you come to something like finance, the sales process really starts with that first touch point.
Yeah.
People are going to submit a lot of forms. They're going to submit to get quotes. And if you're just getting a bunch of, automated sort of generic emails, that's not really a place where I think you'd want to drop a lot of money.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point with that initial conversation.
Right. It's different by vertical. Mm-hmm. But the thing I like about that example is it's personal from the first touch point, which is the display ad.
Home loans, college enrollment. There's a lot of education in those areas as well. And I think that's tough to come through an email.
Yeah, I think
we're going to teach you everything you need to know from, email automation 1. Hello, first name.
Yeah. Well, and with home loans too, you want to, since there is the education and it is going to be a long process, I think you want to be comfortable with the person on the other end. I think universities can be a little bit more of a mix, especially when you think about sort of the demographic. I mean, one of the universities we work with is using text messaging as their sales, channel or means of communication. So you kind of, when you think about sales overall, obviously, just like anything, you have to know your audience.
Yeah.
And that is a B2C versus kind of B2B thing. And I think on the GeoFly side of our business, obviously you've been doing B2B sales since day one, customer number one. How do you see that as different than when we're selling consumer products?
I definitely still think there's an education piece. So, and there's a little bit more coaching people into how to make this purchase. It's one of the things they kind of talk about in a lot of sales books that I've read, is coaching people across the finish line. You and I can both go on Amazon and order a consumer product pretty easily. We don't need to be coached on how to do that. Where we might need some help is if we're purchasing a snowblower and we've never purchased a snowblower before. And so we might need to go and get, we might want to go look at it. We might even want to test drive it, right? And I guess we'd have to wait for the first snowstorm to do that. It'd be kind of weird, snow blowing your driveway.
No, I think when you take that snowblower off the lot, it depreciates, and that's kind of it.
That could be true. But to your point with GeoFly, we find that asking a lot of questions of the person who's inquiring to really understand what they're looking for. GeoFly, as a reminder, personalizes content based on location on your existing website. To us in-house, we're like, of course, on your